All right.
Good now, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
Oh, I'm going to rug the show immediately. I have to put in my Ethernet cable. I'll be back. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go for it. Rug the Show is the theme today. I wish instead of that cheerful morning theme, we had something that maybe felt a little more appropriate. Today is February 3rd. It's Monday. And this weekend, we experienced some of the worst liquidations in crypto's history. $2 billion plus of mostly long positions were absolutely wiped out over the weekend. And if that affected you, if you're somebody who's down bad right now, then listen, our hearts go out to you. We're really glad you're here with us today because we want you to back away from the ledge and come back to the light. And I assure you that Will is on the phone with the moon gods and we're trying to figure things out. But seriously, altcoins are down bad. Bitcoin is looking about the only thing to be strong. And if you're feeling the pain, then I do want you to know that you are not alone today. And hopefully we can give you something to take your mind off this and we can all speak a little more sense into the market. And if you're looking for somebody to commiserate with, then have I got a place for you. The place is discord.gg/riseup. Totally free. We're all there. The only thing missing is you. Lots of good learning resources there. Gentlemen, how you feeling this morning?
I'm hungry.
Yeah, you unwrapping that wrapper was like the lady in the movie theater who's like, I was like, damn, son.
Yeah, my bad.
Alex, how about you? Feeling okay?
Trying to be sensitive, I don't want to say good.
I understand completely, but tell us.
I am doing well, and this is kind of what we were talking about. This is what we've been talking about. This is why you're aggressive, especially now, because we're on the edge of the knife. Now we've fallen off the edge of the knife. We're trying to get back onto the edge of the knife, but I don't know. I hope that this is a good gut check moment, because every time the market craters or explodes, it should be a good gut check moment. But I expect more of this. I really truly do. We've been saying it for a couple months. I think it's just going to be choppy at best for a while, because there's just not enough it's too much confusion. There's only two extremes, and whenever there's two extremes, it's like tons of people were perma bulls because of the incoming administration being friendly, forgetting at what speed Congress moves. And then there's the perma bears who think that every time we have a pump, it's the top forever. And neither of those people are ever right.
So then let's give
broken clocks right every now and again.
Sure. Don't come for me.
So then let's maybe talk some sense into folks. Because what I saw yesterday was, is it over? Is it done? I'm buying everything. I'm full. You know what I mean? I think people have a tendency, like you said, to react in very extreme ways to extreme market moves. So what are some of the actionable takeaways that you'd give? I saw you give one, Alex, yesterday about on red days like this, when everybody's out of dry powder, meaning USDC to buy the dip that we've been waiting for. A lot of people didn't have USDC to buy the dip.
Why not? What do I always say?
What does he always say, guys?
He always say.
Listen.
We were trying to avoid this, guys.
Listen. You
just wait till your
always
father gets home.
You always have stable coins. Always. You should never be so confident in one direction or another that you feel like you can have 100% exposure to every single thing. That's just not good. It's not good. And I want everyone to be listening to me when things pump and you've got stuff in the green and everyone is just telling you to your face this is just the beginning. It's going to 1 million. Everything's going to explode. That's when you should be yeah, I'm going to take some profits. Because okay, let's put the tinfoil hats on for a quick second.
Go for it.
If you were the big money manipulator, if you were big hedge fund McDaddy with your all of your powers.
That sounds like Will's alter ego. Can I just say?
It is Will.
Big
That's Will.
hedge fund McDaddy.
That's
I'll ask Violet to call me that later tonight.
So imagine that, okay? That's you. And everybody who is driving the mentality and the sentiment of retail and crypto is screaming that this is about to be the most bullish year ever, go long on everything. Why wouldn't you liquidate all of those people?
Yeah.
Give me one reason you wouldn't liquidate them. Every time in crypto or the markets, you have and Will, I'm sure that this is one of those charts we could pull up, the liquidity heat map. Josh shows it all the time. Like where you show, where all of the open shorts are and open longs are and where all the different liquidity pockets are. Like whenever you're heavily weighted in one direction, the market wants to go there and wipe that out. It's like the desire to close a gap on the CME futures chart.
Yeah, or just like having a really big itch that gets worse and worse and worse. You're gonna scratch it.
So if you're looking right now to like do stuff in the market, I genuinely like look at USDC. Look at stablecoins. You didn't have any when this happened. That should be the first thing that you rectify. You want to have some for when this happens next time, which means actually selling things when they go up, being okay with not getting 1000x on everything, because the odds of you getting that are like astronomically low.
I'm trying to find the liquidation heat map and I can't find it.
I honestly thought it was just called the liquidation heat map.
Well, see, that is what it's called.
I don't remember the URL. I'm sorry to say.
The thing though that and I promise this isn't meant to like rub anything in anybody's face. It's really just to like help put some stuff in perspective. So last night was, like Evan said, it was the biggest night of liquidations in a very long time, if not ever.
Bigger than COVID. I thought it might be in some cases the biggest ever, and bigger than FTX too. For people who remember
would
that,
make sense
that's
just
what it
'cause,
felt
like. Just because, like, I mean, the market's bigger now, so as you get liquidation
right.
events, they will have new records every single time.
But okay, so what did it do to your portfolio specifically, like Evan and Will?
Me specifically?
What it did to mine?
I have no idea. I haven't.
I'm down like 12%.
Yeah, that's the thing is like down in price from where I was so many hours ago is a bigger number, probably closer to, I don't know, 20 or 30, because I hold a lot of major altcoins. Some of them were pretty resistant. Like for people who want to know, I hold Bitcoin, I hold ETH, I hold Sol, I hold Arrow, Morpho, Jupiter, and Ondo. Jupiter and Ondo, I think they missed it. Like, I don't know where they were, where they went, but they just like got back home and they were like, what happened here? Everything else is down big, but also it's not down big in the sense that I've been taking a lot of profits. I've bought most of those things. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. I'm kind of up, honestly, on Bitcoin. ETH is, up overall, but down relative to where it was. And Sol, same thing. It's up overall, down relative to where everything is relative, Alex. So, and honestly, I wasn't as worried about me yesterday as I was about everybody who got in 100 days ago, everybody who's thinking about buying now. My day yesterday was hectic because I was talking to, some coaching clients and also talking to, our community members about like, just answering questions and helping people come back down.
Yeah. And then for me, I mean, for me, the thing is I've made a bunch of trades. So entered positions, left positions, entered positions, left positions. I mean, I've been doing that since 2023. My Bitcoin is up a lot because I never sell it. So, yeah. And then, I mean, my Arrow position my average price is down bad. I don't know what it's at because I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to look at this for a while. I haven't looked at it. I have no idea what my Aerodrome position is right now because I'm like, I'll look at it later. I don't need to. I believe it will go up. Look at it later. It's down.
Yeah.
And now with my Morpho position is down. I mean, over the past 36 hours, it's down just 31%. And then also in the past couple hours, it went up an additional 21%. So, like markets move fast once they start to find bottoms. But I mean, my biggest altcoin position, Morpho is about 40% of my total portfolio. So that, past 48 hours or so is down 30%. And I don't care.
Yeah, I bought the dip on Morpho, a little bit of Arrow, and on Sol. I bought that really good looking dip on Sol. And ETH too. I bought some ETH too.
Yeah, I've been thinking about actually buying. I was like, damn, because I really just want to be buying Bitcoin right now, just because I really don't feel like I have enough of it. But I'm like, it makes more sense from a money making standpoint to be buying my Morpho, a little bit of Arrow, maybe some Ethereum here and there. But I'm just like, my altcoin bags are already so big that like taking new capital that I make from the stuff that I do and putting it into them, I'm just like, I just feel like I'm plenty exposed to altcoins and I just want more Bitcoin. So even though from a money making standpoint, it would make way more sense for me to continue dollar cost averaging into my Morpho position and Aerodrome position.
Now, Alex, why do you, sorry.
It's just not what I want right now. I just want more Bitcoin right now. I just want to add to like my long-term holding position personally myself.
Alex, so why did you ask about our portfolios? How's yours? Yours is, I imagine, about the same.
How is your trading going today?
How's your trading going, Alex?
How are the markets treating you?
Yeah.
How are the markets treating you?
And that's just bullshit.
No, I just asked because it's always tough. Like whenever something like this happens, you really want to use several things. Several things are true. This happens. Lots of people start paying attention to things they maybe haven't checked before and finally trying to get like an alternate perspective on markets. So I always want to make sure that whatever message you put out is like empathetic, but also firm enough to be like, look, if you don't come away from this moment learning something, you're just going to lose again next time.
Like this could be you that isn't have fun staying poor.
Yeah.
You could have this piece.
Hold on. Something just happened. Is your guys' sound just fine? Because I think my sound just got effed.
Sound is fine on my end.
Test check 1 2. Test check 1 2. You sound
weird.
great.
It's weird. Okay.
I don't have the hair to do this.
Isn't this great when you can do this?
I wouldn't know.
I have to tell you, it seems stupid in movies, but it actually is kind of. Anyway, Alex, as you were.
I could do it with my chest hair, but.
I mean, that's what this is.
Tell me why.
But
so we want to be empathetic. We want to give people the peace, but we don't want to tell them have fun staying poor.
No, of course not. And I always want to point out, like, listen, if you didn't believe me when I said that, like X, Y, and Z is true, or this could happen, or this, things are uncertain, yada, yada, what, expect volatility, expect all of this, expect the crashes, all this kind of stuff. Let this help you realize that. And I'm totally there. You have to experience things oftentimes before they really like cement themselves in your brain as being like, oh, okay, this is real. Because of course you have a ton of people who just got here and don't have a ton of experience to base this on it. Evan, you say all the time, a great way to get started is to buy a little bit of something with money that you don't need so that you can just start to experience the volatility and just like watch something lose value by a tremendous amount in a couple days and then go back up again and start to learn how to like deal with those feelings and those emotions, because until you've faced it, it's much harder to create a plan and to build a strategy that you're actually going to stick to. But for example, and again, I'm hesitant to say all of this just because it sounds kind of like gloating, but like, what I always say, I don't have price targets up or down. You just kind of get a feel for like, okay, we've gone up for a little bit. Markets are sketchy. I'm going to take some profits. I don't care if it's 10% up or 50% up or 300% up, whatever. So I do that all the time. Whenever anything has like a really heavy green day, it's like, I'll sell a little bit. Worst case, I'm going to walk away with a little bit smaller exposure to this thing that I really like, but I have stablecoins. And are we going to go down at some point? Yeah, you bet your ass. So, what happened? Solana went to 292. I'll just use Sol as an example because it's my biggest position. Went to 292. I sold a bunch at 280. I didn't know how much higher it was going to go. I was like, we're in price discovery, new all-time high. Here we go. I'm gonna de-risk. Because when it flies up like that, it's going to come back. That's going to happen every single time. So I had stable coins from that. It came down. We were back at like my most recent entry point of like 240. It was like, okay, I'll add a little bit. Did I go in with the entire amount of stable coins that I had taken profits with? No, a quarter of it. Then it just kept bleeding. I was like, okay, this is getting, bloodier now. There's more tariff talk. We all know tariffs are inflationary. The market is going to be very unhappy about this. If there's any retaliation from any of the affected nations, it's going to get worse. You're starting to see admissions from the administration that, oh, okay, yeah, it is going to raise prices for people, but like only for a bit. And then like, okay, well, yeah, but we're just going to try to keep prices where they are now, not necessarily lower them, etc. Cope. So that hurts sentiment as well. So I'm just watching it go. I'm sitting here with stable coins, and every time it loses another 15%, I'm like, okay, take a quarter of whatever's left and put it in, a quarter of whatever's left and put it in. And then we just eviscerated. And I was sitting there watching and waiting, and Sol went down to 180 again. I was like, yeah, okay, that's it. There you go. And then I moved in with half of it. Still not the whole thing, because I always want to have some stable coins. I always want some. And I fully expect it to go lower at some point, even if there's a relief rally now. And guess what I'm going to do if there's a relief rally right now?
What you
I'm
going to
sell
do?
Stuff.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do with all the profit? All that profit? All that profit?
Fucking
Sorry.
sell them. That's what I'm going to do.
Sorry.
Fucking sell them. So, that, and again, just to point out, I don't know if she's here right now, but hilarious.
She is.
From my mom.
She is,
Okay,
and she
perfect.
mentioned in the comments in a very humble way, she said, we were saying, how's everybody doing? How's your portfolio? She said, I had some limit orders and bought the dip or something like that. And I was like,
Yep.
I responded and
Love
said,
that.
you
She
might
just-
be the
she-
best trader in our whole audience.
The number of times that my mother has texted me that like, hey, my limit orders just went. I just bought the exact bottom. I'm like, God, that's fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
But that's it. She's not taking longs and shorts.
Let me know
and,
when you
like,
buy.
leveraging and like trying to trade all these hype cycles. She's just like, hey, it's up. I'm gonna set a limit sell in case it gets to this point. And okay, cool. It's crashing. Let's like get a little aggressive and set a limit order for a little lower than we are right now and see what happens. And that's it. And then she closes it and goes about her day.
Yeah, and I will say, people, that's a great step if you've been here for a minute. Especially, this is one of the reasons I advocate for a smaller portfolio. It is really hard when the market is having a big up day, a big down day. If there's a news event, what do we always see? We see people who are like, "Why is this happening?" And that usually takes you a couple minutes to figure out. Is this like a macro event? Is it a micro event? Is it one token? Is it all my tokens? And if you've got 15, 20, 30 tokens that you've got to manage, it can be really difficult to realistically sit down and set buy targets or sell targets for all those things. But if you've got 2 or 3 tokens, it's nothing to take a Tuesday afternoon
So easy.
and go to Coinbase Advanced and say, you know what? I see on the 1-year chart that this thing has been ping-ponging off $2 a token and $1 a token for the last year. I'm going to set a limit sell order for a little bit at $2 and a limit buy order for $1. Or I've been hearing Alex talk about that, and I'm going to watch a tutorial about how to do it. That's like a set it and forget it, make yourself some money thing. Somebody has to worry about short-term gains tax. Honestly, no. If I'm buying something at $1 and selling it at $2, then I'm making 100%.
Money.
And at best case scenario, my taxes are really low, but worst case, they're still a fraction of that.
And hey, guess what? Worst case is you don't owe any taxes because you lost your money.
Well,
if you pay taxes, it means you won.
That's right.
I'm right there with everyone who is pissed off about the tax situation, because I think it's bullshit. I mean, crypto gets double taxed. It's nonsense. But at the end of the day, one thing still remains true. If you're winning, if you're paying capital gains taxes, you're paying it on your wins. And the rate is never 100%. So you're still going to walk away with something. So at the end of the day, like, not selling because you don't want to get hit with some capital gains tax and instead settling for losing is pure abject nonsense.
It's silly.
But I can't tell you how many times I've seen that methodology perpetuated by people on social media. Like, no, hold it. Just hold it. Whatever, never sell. Okay. I guess I'll get to write off a loss.
What do you mean by tax to double, Alex?
What? Oh,
You said crypto is taxed double.
yeah, because crypto is not properly defined in the tax code, and so it gets hit with more than one kind of tax at the same time. So if you earn any crypto, you get an airdrop, you get paid in crypto or whatever, you owe income tax on the day that you got it at the valuation you got it at. But if you don't sell it right at that exact second and it goes up 10% and that's when you sell it, you also owe capital gains on that. Or
Yes.
in the inverse, if it craters from where you got it, you still owe income tax at the amount that you received it at. So a lot of people who held their Pengu airdrop right now owe more taxes than they currently have in Pengu because of how much it's come down since they received it. And that's fucking horseshit.
Isn't that wild?
That's insane that's been allowed to stand for as long as it's been case law. That's bonkers to me.
Somebody asked what's today's buy recommendation, but before we get to any kind of discount sale, I've got to welcome our friend of the show, the guy who told you this would happen, Daniel. Welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. How are you this morning, brother?
Hey, good morning, guys. How's everyone doing this morning? I just got on the show, so I was curious.
Oh, we're doing good. We talked about it. We're all relatively up. We're feeling empathy and compassion for people who are down, and we were giving some advice about how you might think about this moment and what you do at times like this. And if you've got a fortune cookie, word of wisdom, good joke, it's certainly welcome.
Yeah. So I just, like you guys given a lot of good advice. Also, as always, I wanted to add, there's going to be an insane amount of volatility and holding is a losing proposition in my opinion. I just want people to know my opinions on those things. I think there's a lot of good opportunity for short trades here, and try not to hold the bag and fall over. Also, Bitcoin is really bullish because it never went past 92K. That's really all I want to say.
Bitcoin's holding nice. Altcoin, again, this is also further proof to me that when we do get like a bear market, Bitcoin its corrections, maybe it's 40% instead of 80%, but altcoins will still be 90 to 99% falls.
And Daniel, if you have trades that can you give us some examples of the kind of, up and down, how you would take advantage of that? Like what's the practical, tactical, somebody's got some USDC, or what are you looking at? Can you paint a picture for us?
Yeah, so it's the news cycle at this point, right? Like we're going to keep getting bad news and good news, and it's all going to be extremely erratic and insane. So you kind of have to buy a day after the bad news falls, right? And then it recovers a little bit because the news cycle doesn't go all day because reporters don't work 24/7 really.
Sure.
So you have to, like Alex said, take profits quick, and then wait for the next World War III news to come out. For China to start allying with Canada, for Mexico to, whatever the hell they're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you buy the dip, and what do you buy? Do you buy a major altcoin? Do you buy a really trendy, hot niche thing like a new DeFi project? Yeah, exactly. What are you looking at, and what seems to be the thing? Are you farming stablecoins, adding to a stockpile of Bitcoin? What are the plays?
You want specifics?
I just want examples, maybe from history, because that'll help make it more tangible for people.
Yeah, no, I stick with Bitcoin and Solana right now, and I do leveraged positions. I don't suggest you guys do that, but that's what I do.
Yeah. I would concur. Somebody who wants to, especially if you're new, I think Bitcoin is great in terms of you can experience a lot of volatility in either direction, and you can get a sense very quickly of, is this kind of thing for me or not, meaning trading day to day, to kind of try and capitalize on those swings.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much 5% really is. Like you only need to do 5% 20 times and you're at 100%. Yeah, it'll take you a couple. With Bitcoin, it'll take you a couple of weeks because it's so volatile, and that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. Solom says, so can we copy them? You can copy them if you know their wallet address, but if you're going to copy anybody in this realm, I would say start with Linda Popovich.
Yeah,
And
copy
then,
Yeah, I'll start with Linda. Start with Alex's mom.
and then call me when you're ready to start the yacht party. Somebody also asked, what's best for holding a few years, like a minimum 5 years? I don't know about you guys, but I would say Bitcoin is the only one I
it's
could
the only one
recommend.
I can exactly confidently recommend. You
Why
have
is
like
that, Will?
Well, before I say, I do want to say you could have Ethereum enter the argument. You could have Solana enter the argument, maybe even Chainlink. Outside of that, there's nothing else that you can really argue for, in my opinion. But the thing is with Bitcoin, it's the thing that stood the test of time and has no competition. Now, Ethereum's stood quite a bit of time, right? It's been around for a while, but there's a lot of competition, right? Just because something's on top, if there's a lot of competition, there's nothing to say that it's going to remain out on top, right? It has to continue to innovate. L2s have to continue to do well. You know, there are going to be more layer ones that are as good as, and then maybe even better from a technical standpoint as Solana and can attract liquidity. And that can eat away at Ethereum's market share too. You know, there's no guarantee, but when it comes to Bitcoin, there only is one Bitcoin. Now, granted, you have copycats Bitcoin, right? But they don't have the same level of trust and security in Bitcoin being the world's largest proof of work blockchain, which you can also think about as the world's most secure database that exists. And, you know, it's because of that, and also the length of time that has been around it, and the amount of institutional adoption for it as well, just from an investment standpoint. There's nothing else that has all those things lined up, as well as like a really strong narrative still, which even though it sounds boring to us now, because, you know, we're used to all the sexy things, but revolutionizing global monetary policy is a pretty big opportunity still. it's a pretty big opportunity. It's not gaming, you know, it's not an AI agent. Maybe doesn't seem sexy to us anymore. It seems kind of boring, but the biggest thing is trust. Bitcoin has trust. It has stood the test of time. It hasn't gone down. It doesn't change much. It's still there. That's the big thing. When it comes to a store of value, it's trust. You trust that it will hold your value. Henceforth, therefore, round table. Bitcoin's going to be the thing that you can put your money in long term and not worry too much about.
I would also say part of that, Will, that I want to go a little further on is network effects. Like some people will hear, a lot of people throw that word around, network effects in crypto, and you may be struggling to understand what that means. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and you said Sol are all good examples of tokens that have strong network effects, meaning that because of a combination of timing, luck, their natural qualities, a network of users has been built up around them. There are 65,000, I think, nodes on the Bitcoin network, making it one of the largest computers in the world. Ethereum has thousands and thousands of nodes. Chainlink is integrated into pretty much every other protocol. Every network uses their Oracle service. And it's like, somebody might build. This is a helpful analogy. Remember when TikTok was going away for people in the US and everyone was like, well, let's just build another one? That's great. Even if you built a killer product, getting everyone to download it, use it, make content that people love on it, start watching it is a network effect that is very hard to replicate. The network effects of Bitcoin, which people say is slow and expensive, are very hard. It's very hard to get all the millions of people in the world who use Bitcoin, who use a particular stablecoin, who use Chainlink's Oracle to just be like, you know what? Here's a better product. Use this instead. Like it is such an underestimated but powerful and influential factor, this network effect. If you want to build the next killer app or service or product as an entrepreneur, create network effects. Give people a thing that they need their friends to use to find value. And I heard, Alex, I thought of you yesterday. I heard Tim Ferriss talking about this with Seth Godin about Magic the Gathering. He said, what a great invention. You create this killer game, and what do you need for a game? Other players. And also other people to admire what you've collected or see you as somebody worth following because of your status, like that kind of thing. It is a network effect built into the design of the thing. Bitcoin is like that. Stablecoins are like that. If you want your friends to enjoy it, they got to use it. The more it's shared, the more valuable it gets. That's important. I don't have a follow-up question, and I kind of ran out of steam. I'm so sorry to say. So don't let it fall flat.
Just letting it simmer.
Just letting that sit. I was just going to wait for you to start twirling your hair.
I think so undoubtedly, you acknowledge what's happened, come up with a plan, and I think your plans are very personal. It's very individual to you and your situation. My plan is going to look a lot different than your plan, but it's important. I think I would say before you try to answer the question like, okay, well, do I need to buy something right now? I would say like just hold on a second and remember that knee-jerk reacting with any hint of emotion to sudden market moves, that's how you play the game on your back foot, and that's how you just set yourself up to get posed again next time. You want to okay, so what would I do? I would sit here right now and I would be like, okay, we know that it could go lower and we know that it could recover. Those are your options.
Yeah.
We could chill here for a little bit. We could crash lower. We could have some sort of relief rally. We could resume the bull market, whatever. I then try to rank those in order of likeliness, as best I can. I think it's more likely that we go a little lower because, I think we're all expecting a pretty shitty stock market week.
Yeah, the market isn't even open yet, right?
No, it's not open for another 40 minutes.
And we know it's going to open down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pre-market is already down by a good sizable chunk. So we'll see. There's going to be a gigantic gap on the S&P 500. It's going to be kind of fun to watch.
A gap probably to the upside.
Yeah, a gap to the upside. Exactly.
So in that sense, right, I have my two scenarios, right? I think like, okay, we know that gaps have an extremely high likelihood of filling. So some sort of relief rally makes sense. Because what's the stuff that's being circulated right now amongst people paying attention to markets? They're saying things like, biggest liquidation since the COVID crash, biggest liquidation in a long time, huge price decrease in a very short amount of time, like overcorrection, right? Like this is what I'm saying when I say look at a movement up or down and try to determine whether it's unsustainable. I believe looking at this, that this level of crash is unsustainable. That doesn't mean that it's over.
Agreed.
It just means it's unsustainable.
So I think that here are my thoughts on this, and I was kind of sitting on it a little bit this morning when I finally looked at the charts and saw how down everything was, except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's only down a little bit, which is cool. But it's this, like the markets are forward looking, right? We know this. The markets have known that tariffs are going to be a thing ever since Trump won the election, right? So the reaction to the market now, it's more of an adverse reaction to the flip-flopping of the timeline of the tariffs that the White House was communicating out to people, which for those of you who don't know, February 1st was going to be the start date. And then I think it was 4 days ago now, it came out like, hey, we're actually going to delay it a month where we won't start the tariffs until March 1st. And then about 24 hours afterwards, 24 hours afterwards, they said, actually, we're going to do it on February 1st for Canada and Mexico. Oh, and also China. And so it was more tariffs out the gate than originally planned. And the timeline kind of switched around. Markets don't like uncertainty, right? So I mentioned all this because the reason why markets are down right now isn't because of tariffs. We've known tariffs were coming.
Yeah.
And markets are forward looking. It was that flip-flopping really quickly, market manipulation, that happens that caused markets to have that tizzy. So tariffs have been known, but it was the implementation of the timeline that is causing markets to be shaky right now. I'm expecting us to have this, a bad day, stocks open up down. There's going to be a lot of fear. People are going to sell their ETF products, right? I'm expecting a bad week, or at least a bad first 2 or 3 days. And then I'm kind of expecting that to be it, personally, unless, of course, like more gasoline, like more bad news gets thrown onto the fire. But if this is it, we've known tariffs are coming. The market has known this. It's just the timeline here. I think it's an initial pretty fast shakeout, and then things continue upwards. Things that could make this worse, though, would be tariffs are being increased on Europe. next, and
Sure.
retaliatory tariffs there, and then that's boom, you
So
have bad
there's a
news on top of
question
bad
for
news.
you, Will. If you were while we're in speculation mode. So like you said, we knew that this was coming, at least in the sense of Canada and Mexico, and China had always been in the conversation. But heavily EU is a little bit newer, not completely new, but at least moving quickly into that sense, given what else has been going on ever since. I kind of feel like that could be the fuel that pushes it. If that becomes a little bit more solid instead of just yes, EU, which is insanely vague, I would expect that could be another push down. So if you relief rallied a little bit and then we're like, oh, wait a second, EU, and then, a little bit more. So small bull trap and then farther.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely
that.
would end up being a bull trap. And also because the thing is you have to think from a tariff strategy. It's also, it is a political game too, because you're expending political capital to be able to do this kind of stuff. So one thing that Trump won't want to do is do all this stuff at once.
Dig into that a little bit, because that's not a super
because
talked about
yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. So it makes sense. If Trump wants to do tariffs across everybody, which was something he mentioned in the campaign, he wanted to do universal tariffs. But right now we have Canada, we have Mexico, and then we have China. Right? There's more of the world to put tariffs on, and we had that spat at 4-hour spat with Colombia, which is trying to say back and forth, and ended up being nothing with Colombia.
And not necessarily tariff related, but of course there's Marco Rubio presenting the ultimatum to Panama, and there's the doubling down with the Greenland stuff. So there's non-tariff, ally problems as well that I think can contribute.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily applicable to the piece that I'm trying to talk about here, which is the expenditure of political capital, because the only thing that's going to affect political capital is something that can really hurt the economy. What really hurts the economy is tariffs on our largest trading partners, right? So if there is a target to put tariffs on Europe, there needs to be a relief rally so that the pain that the people are feeling, that we're feeling, because markets are down, or all that kind of stuff, has a chance to be relieved, and the emotional stress is lessened on people, to then be able to do it again. Because if you do all this stuff at once or too quickly, you lose so much of the favor that Trump had going into the White House. I mean, he won, by a sizable margin against Kamala, right? So, there was a large amount of momentum there. He doesn't want to burn through all of that right in the beginning, because, if he causes so much pain so quickly, it's going to burn a lot of people that he's not going to be able to get back to continue to support him, and not put pressure on, Washington through Congress and their senators and all that kind of stuff, making phone calls and emails, all this stuff, democracy, hooray, all that stuff. So it's a fine balance of, in the scenario that we're playing with, where he does want to do universal tariffs across everyone, he has to space it out if he does really want to do that. And that's the other thing to think about, is all this stuff won't happen immediately. If in fact it is what's going to happen, it has to be spread out for the purpose of political capital.
Well,
so
and
do
also,
you think?
Go ahead.
Still kind of chewing on the full question. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to add on top of that too is if you think about Trump's goals with tariffs, I don't think it's to get these better deals, right? It's his art of the deal kind of way, where it's apply pressure, create what's the word? Oh my God, a little a leverage, but an emergency. Put a little
crisis.
Pressure,
manufacture a crisis. Yeah.
Manufacture a crisis. Bring the people to the table. Get a deal, and then it's done, right? In my personal opinion, that's what he's doing here. So the momentary pain, momentary crisis. The crisis for Canada and Mexico is far greater than it is for us.
Yeah, their currency really got hurt.
Yeah, to put things into perspective, actually their currency getting hurt helps them with tariffs. Currency devaluation helps you alleviate tariffs. That's why China isn't doing retaliatory tariffs against us.
I just mean optically, for the people who live in those countries.
Oh, yeah.
The panic and chaos it creates.
Yeah, it's way more
yeah.
it's way more pain for them from a trading standpoint. Also, like our GDP is over $30 trillion. Theirs combined, Canada and Mexico, is less than $4 trillion. So, Canada and Mexico are trying to be as smart as they can with their tariffs, but you can be as smart as you can going up against a fight with a silverback gorilla. You're still getting your face caved in pretty quick. That's the scenario they find themselves in. So like the pain that they're going to feel is way worse. And then hopefully there's a deal that comes through and tariffs get alleviated and yada yada yada. But that wasn't what I was going to mention. What was the extra point I was going to say?
Talking about manufactured crises.
Yeah. Anyway, he'll manufacture crises. There'll be a trade deal done eventually. The trade deal will then boost the market because what will happen is enough time will go by and the market will just start to recover and then just start to go up again, even with a full-on trade war going on. And it will do that with enough time. It'll just say, oh, this is the new normal, and the market just keeps going up because that's what it does long term. And then if the market finds that stability and then starts going up, and then tariffs get lifted with Canada and Mexico and free trade is able to flow again because there's some new type of a deal that gets the markets excited, the markets will go flying again. And then, you can, that's essentially the situation that I think Trump is creating. And then also, I do not expect retaliatory tariffs from China because they'll just devalue their currency.
The trade relationship with the U.S. and China is different than the relationship with the U.S. and Canada. I don't think we can just like blanket say that tariffs are tariffs regardless of who you place them on.
Canada and Mexico rely far more on. Yeah, Canada and Mexico rely far more on the United States than China does.
So there's a couple points that I just wanted to kind of highlight. One, obviously, every time there is a significant downturn in the market at all, the recession callers come back out. They're always present, right? We've been calling for, not we as in the three of us, but like people in general who call for recessions have been doing that for the last how many years pretty heavily. And that always annoys me because even if we hit one in 6 years, they're going to say that they were right, which pisses me off. But anyway, do you think, what do you think about, like, at this point, the idea of calling for a recession or a depression of some sort, because, you could say that the last time we did like broad spectrum tariffing was back pre-Great Depression. But I have a hard time sitting down and saying like, okay, I could see a recession like that happening just because I feel like we have so many more tools now to like combat it or to at least pretend hard enough that it's not happening. And we've seen literally go so far as to change the definition of like what constitutes a recession. So all of that together just makes me have a very hard time believing that we are actually like on the precipice of running into one. And even if we did, I don't think it would look the same way that maybe people are thinking, where everything just kind of plummets for years and there's just this awful sort of a thing. I kind of expected to just like widen the gap between the things that are winning and the things that are going to lose. Whereas like some stuff would continue to do well, and it would be more of a question of like proper positioning beforehand. But Will, I didn't know, with you probably having a little bit more information than me as I sit here and just sort of guess, ultimately what I'm saying is I have a hard time believing that full recession is incoming just because we have so many more tools available to us as an economy to slap band-aid after band-aid after band-aid on it, that it can't just be that simple.
Yeah, I
don't know really.
It's hard for me to say because I'm not like a traditionally educated economist, right?
It would be interesting to talk to
having like a guy, what's his
veteran
name?
economist.
Chris Clark, I think on TikTok is his name, but he's a really good economist. I'd have to double check. It'd be awesome to have him on the show.
Interesting.
But each Band-Aid has a cost, right? The Band-Aids that you slap on to boost the economy has a cost. Stimulus causes inflation. The biggest cause of us going into a recession would be inflation. You can have a trade war if you don't have inflation. And we have inflation. Inflation's been sticky. Granted, inflation's not horrific right now. It's at 2.9%. It's not where we want it to be, but it was far worse a year and a half ago, Right. But the thing is that where inflation is sticky is housing, and food. Food is going to get more expensive immediately because of these tariffs. Because agriculture,
you saw what Trump said. It's hard to lower the price of groceries.
It's hard to lower the price of groceries.
Well, and Elon said it too on his last space as they were, discussing Doge things. It was like he basically admitted and came out and said, like, the goal is not to lower prices from where they are. The goal is to prevent them from going higher, implying that what's here is here, and this is what it's going to be forever.
Well, it depends on the items. Because
I'm speaking generally, but of course there's nuance. We have a billion different items for sale.
Yeah, also, let me just say to people who didn't know that space was live yesterday, Senator Ernst, Lee, Vivek, and Elon Musk were in a Twitter space last night at, I think, midnight Eastern for about an hour, just talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. And speaking of news and bad reporting, I was like Googling afterwards. I was like, I caught the last 20 minutes. Can somebody give me a summary of this? And nobody had a published piece. I was like, oh my God. What a wild time we live in, right?
Wild.
Very
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Anyway, sorry.
It's going to continue to be interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting is the word.
So, okay, as we talk about about positioning, there was a comment here I definitely want to highlight. Let me scroll.
And also, while you're scrolling, Daniel, I see you tapping on and off the mic. You're welcome to just talk. I don't see your face, so I can't, but feel free to jump in, brother. And also, the last thing before you go, don't jump in yet, is people, if you've requested to come up and I haven't acknowledged your request, I've been trying to at you in the comments. If we know you're a friend of the show, you're welcome up. And it's not that we want to gatekeep. It's just that we have been burned before by letting strangers into the box who will spew some hate, and we just can't risk getting the show banned. So leave me a comment below. Let me know who you are if you have a question, and we'll get to know you better. And definitely jump in the Discord if you want to learn from us. You want to get to know us better. You want to participate in the discussion. That is absolutely the best place to do it. It's totally free. We'd love to see you there. Please continue. Daniel, were you going to say something? Well, Alex,
I just had a question for the panel. What do you guys think about Trump saying he wants to change the entire tax system to being a regressive tax? To have
you mean like get rid of the income tax?
Yeah, no income tax, all tariffs.
Yeah, so I've had some time to give some thought to that, not enough, because I want to make a video on it and I need to think through everything because it sounds really nice.
I'm curious what your knee-jerk reaction is, because I have a very visceral one.
Yeah, well, it sounds really nice
right.
This is the marketing, and the marketing is not right. But the marketing is have other countries pay our taxes for us.
Yeah.
And that is the marketing spin. But it's not real because, as we've talked about, tariffs are a tax on U.S. businesses, right? So what happens with a tariff, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who do, 1 second, a tariff is a tax placed on a U.S. business for importing goods from that country. So a U.S. business gets taxed 25% for importing goods in from Canada and Mexico now, right? So that's a tariff. So it is not being paid for by the other country. It's being paid for by a U.S. business. So here's the thing. If you take a look at more of Trump's tax policies, and there might be a few things I'm missing here. This is part of the thing I said that I need to do a little bit more research on, but he wants to do tax cuts for corporations. So I was like, okay.
Which is safe. He did that last time. So he's got.
But also it's like, if you're going to raise taxes on U.S. corporations with tariffs, but you lower overall taxes, does that create a net? And the answer is, I don't know, because it's not like you're increasing all expenses for the company by 25% with tariffs. You're increasing their raw material purchases by 25%, which isn't a 25% increase of their total expenses. So you'd have to take a look at what that average is across U.S. businesses and what the tax cut's going to be for those businesses across the board to see if it's a net. It's not going to be a net. It just doesn't work like that. But you'd have to figure out what the total of that problem is. So there's that part of the tax of Trump's tax idea. The other piece is getting rid of income tax. Now, getting rid of income tax sounds amazing, right? Like, no one likes income tax. If we could get rid of that, that'd be great. And if the idea is, hey, supplant taxes from the people to taxes on companies, right? People are like, oh, that sounds great. If I don't pay the taxes and the company pays the taxes, that's awesome. There's a problem with that, because what that does is that means that companies are less profitable, which means they fire people, which means unemployment goes up. If unemployment goes up while inflation is going up, because by the way, inflation would go up more because people have more money to spend, which means demand for products goes up, which means prices go up. So if unemployment is going up while inflation is going up, you have a really, really high chance for a recession, actually, like a bad one. But like Alex said, it could be, it's just that the gap between the haves and the have-nots gets way wider and the have-nots gets bigger. So those are my initial thoughts. I have to do a few more things. There might be a few other additional tax tweaks that Trump has in his strategy that I'm not accounting for, and I haven't done that research. But those are the three big things. And I see that really swinging a big way towards unemployment numbers going up, and also getting rid of tax income is inflationary, like very much so. Even though it sounds really, really nice, and it drastically will increase the biggest problem our economy has, which is inflation.
Hold tight, Alex, because my take is short. I'll believe it when I see it. Go for you. Or just sit there and look pretty, man.
That was so. I had no idea if you were telling me to go or to wait. So I
Oh, sorry. No. Please. That was my take. I will believe it when I see it regarding taxes.
Gotcha. And wow, that was a short take. No, I completely agree with Will that, to me, when you say that, it sounds like a thing to placate angry people while you realize that you make a mistake or you do something intentional that has a negative outcome. So I like the ultimate question ends up being, will I have more money in my pocket at the end of the year or less? And there are so many different pieces that go into that, right? So of course, if we say eliminate income tax, that would increase the amount of money that you keep by a tremendous amount, obviously, right? But if a whole bunch of other shit happens that increase the cost of all the stuff you have to do to just get to the end of the year, it doesn't matter. And then you might as well just pick the system that ends up being the best or the most stable long term. And I don't have that answer. Like Will said, we're not economists. I would enjoy talking to an economist to sort of hear about that, because the things that come to my mind are, if we're slashing all sorts of federal benefits, I think this gets lost a lot, for the record, that like we get bullish on the idea of government being run better, like a better business. Governments are not supposed to be businesses. They are not supposed to be like run in the same way. There's a lot of nuance there. You can't just say like, and even inside the word business, like there's all sorts of different kinds of businesses. So I think it's a little bit silly to say, just treat it like a business and everyone will do better. That's not the case. I would be cautious about a net with corporations, because I don't trust them to like not take advantage of an opportunity to raise prices and make more money. We saw them do it with COVID. They'll do it again. That's what they do. They have, an obligation to their bottom line and to their shareholder. So if corporations have to pay a tariff to bring stuff in, but their taxes get cut, and so they can keep doing the same thing, but they also like can play into the general market expectation that prices will increase, I think that they take advantage of that, because a lot of them are selling items of necessity, food, water, shelter. We have to pay for it. We don't have a choice. Yeah. So when you're selling an item of necessity, you can sort of mistreat your customer, because it's very hard for them to go somewhere else, which is the problem with monopolies and just, businesses that deal in necessities. Other costs that could easily go up without a plan to sort of mitigate, would be if we save money on taxes, but the cost of healthcare is insane, then, you're still going to end up losing money. And if a lot of people, rely on different kinds of little federal benefits, and there's a lot more than people think about. Like, for example, speaking from experience and also from talking to lots of my friends, VA benefits are currently paused. People are not receiving, or not everyone is receiving VA benefits. They're being told that there's an administrative delay and to just hold tight. That's alarming, because a lot of veterans, rely on that. And that's just one example of types of federal aid that goes out, and of course it's hard to have that conversation, because of course you could admit that there's waste in federal spending, obviously.
And VA, by the way, is healthcare for U.S. veterans.
Yeah, sorry, Veterans Affairs. So there's just a lot that goes into it. But the thing I wanted to bring us back to that I think kind of ties into all of this was a comment earlier that just said, overall, isn't this bullish, because doesn't this prove that we need an independent currency? And I would say yes, unequivocally, which is why Bitcoin. That's what we're doing here in general. I think it's easy to lose the picture a little bit just because at this point, Bitcoin still reacts to traditional markets. I don't believe that will always be the case. And I don't necessarily have the timeline for that. It's just something that I happen to believe based on watching it evolve over the years.
Sure.
When we say hedge against inflation, what does that mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's immune to all market moves. It just means that it will continue to grow as the network effect strengthens. And the more people realize that they can access and use this system to opt out of a system that's inherently rigged against them, the better and better and better and better over time it will be. And that doesn't just mean price go up, it means options. So number go up is the traditional mark of success. But I would counter to say that the more options people have to use their Bitcoin to do X, Y, Z, that's also improving, even if the price of it stays flat or even goes down a little bit, just the ability to do other things with it. I would definitely caution, I just saw the comment, and I know this is a common sentiment, I would caution people from saying that that is impossible because Bitcoin is slow. It's really not. You're comparing it to a credit card transaction, which you have to remember is imaginary. So, of course, it's easy to send a text message. But my example of Bitcoin versus the US dollar, I just tried to withdraw my money from PayPal because TikTok pays your creator earnings to PayPal. It's the only option that you have. And to do the withdrawal, you then transfer it out to your bank, and either you pay an insane fee to get it transferred quickly, or you wait like 3 to 5 days for it to transfer.
Yeah. To actually move money, it's so much faster. Bitcoin being so much faster.
Well, and money can't meet the velocity.
I love Alex so very much you saying that, yeah, of course a credit card's fast. It's imaginary. Because it is. Like, it's not real. It's just what a ticker that you owe just goes up. That's it. There's no sending of money or anything like that. It's just ticker of what you owe goes up. And also, it can go up way higher than the amount of money you have.
Mandy said, Evan, can you fact check Alex?
Fact check yourself, brother.
So I'm going to say that, the additional bit to that is that sure, Bitcoin in its native form is a little bit slow and can be expensive, but there are many things that are extending the utility of Bitcoin, accelerating its velocity. Strike, the Lightning Network, make it possible to use Bitcoin the way you use a credit card for payments. I think what's more likely a hindrance to Bitcoin specifically as like I'd like to buy this candy bar with my Bitcoin is people don't want to part with their Bitcoin because it'll be worth more tomorrow than it is today. And generally speaking, at scale, those payment solutions aren't available. But do you know what they are available for? Stablecoins. It's super easy to send stablecoins from me to you. They can be just as permissionless, just as uncensorable, and they extend the velocity of the US dollar, which, Will, you talk about this all the time. It is in our government's interest to prop up its hegemony, meaning the dominance it has over the world through its currency. Something like stablecoins is...
Talk empire to me, Evan.
Talk empire to me, baby. It is in the empire's interest.
Let's talk empire for a second.
I love talking empire.
Take it from me. My point is only that it is in the empire's interest to proliferate the tools of the empire. And the most easy to use, biggest tool of the empire is the United States dollar. Also, really quickly, Alex, let me just say to folks, if you requested, give me a second. I would love to kind of end the show in a minute. We do have some audience requests, and I'm going to bring them up radio show style. We'll rotate through them after we get a last thought from Daniel. Go ahead, Alex. Tell me about the empire.
So the empire, you're 100% right, because think about like the biggest narratives that are anti-dollar. The one that I think of that gets bandied about.
Is she related to Uncle Euro?
You got a pity sigh laugh.
How do I remove?
Thank you very much.
Evan from
how do you remove the host?
How do you
also you said empire, so I got to tell you,
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Lovely.
But no, just you. I mean, you nailed it. What's something that could strengthen the dollar immeasurably compared to the conspiracies about what could take it down? And I'm not saying this because I'm like heavy pro dollar. I'm just talking about the way that the pro dollar people would want to prop up the dollar and strengthen it. if the BRICS, let's just use the BRICS thing as an example because it gets tossed around all the time, right? Like the ultimate threat to the dollar, which I think is
the paper tiger.
Yeah. But let's just take that for a second. Okay, how would you fight something like that? Increase the velocity and the access with which the entire planet, anybody with an internet connection, can use the dollar, which is probably a better currency than their local currency, because that is often the case. Like I said, something that has drastically shifted my perspective on all of this has been creating content here and hearing from literally at this point hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not now thousands of people from Central and West Africa, from South America, people who are like not confident in their local currencies, who want to know about using the dollar to do other stuff, and they can do it in token form without having to worry about their government. I talked to members of my family who have had to flee countries before, and they weren't able to take money with them. You could take it in token form by just remembering 12 words. You don't have to try to like smuggle a treasure chest full of jewelry out. Like all these things, right?
Even though that's far more exciting of an adventure, but yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine, Will?
Even though, yeah, sure. But I mean, I don't know. As far as the empire is concerned, giving the whole world high velocity and censorless access to the US dollar is about the biggest empire move you could take.
It's the biggest empire move you could take. Thanks, stablecoins.
Right?
Thanks, crypto.
Exactly.
And of course, there's good and bad stablecoins, but as a concept, insanely strong for the dollar.
The crypto community for the longest time is like, yeah, we're gonna replace the dollar. And meanwhile, the government's like, yeah, you totally will. Keep advancing this industry, guys. Yes, you will. Anyway, let's Trojan horse USD backed stablecoins and get them to buy our bonds.
Yeah, honestly, truly, that might be the move. Daniel, my brother, I would love to get a last thought, final question, good joke, word of wisdom from you, and then I want to rotate you down and bring in a couple of folks who are supporters of the show just to ask their questions. What you got for us, man?
Yeah. So last thought, I don't know if it goes against what you guys are saying. But just be careful out there, guys. Hodling tokens towards the summer can sometimes hurt.
Oh yeah, the summer hurts.
That's what I'm saying. Just be careful as you try to hodl things. We have no idea what's going to happen. China might ally with Mexico. Crazy things might happen. We don't know. So just be careful, guys. Don't put your life savings on risky things.
Never do that.
Well, thank you very much for your takes, Daniel, and we'll see you in the Discord or around the show again sometime soon. Yeah.
Always.
I'll take that as a yes. Thank you very much, brother. Now I'm gonna rotate through a couple of people, guys. We haven't really done this on the show before, but this is something we've aspired to do for a long time. I appreciate everybody who has supported us. If you have a question, the best way to ask us is to leave it below, to jump in the Discord, post it there where you're free from character limits, or if you're a friend of the show, you've been here a while, tap that little request button that looks like a blue and pink person hugging, and we'll bring you up. I would ask that just keep things civil, please. We have a family audience. Let's try and keep our comments brief so that people can rotate through, and let's have a good time. I'm going to bring in Devin first, who's been watching the whole episode among other times. Oh, thank you, Aaliyah, for the balloons. And Devin, let us know where you're tuning in from, what's on your mind, how you doing today, brother? Devin's got the loading circle. Hold tight, Devin. Hold on.
Evan, you got to put the Jeopardy theme song on the soundboard, at least like the first
Oh my God. Yes, I do. I used to have a TikTok, but that's not going to work. Okay, let's try this. I'll disconnect Devin and let him get refreshed. We're bringing in Jason. Had a question about Web3 TLDs, and I'm not entirely sure what TLDs mean. So, Jason, welcome to the show. What's your question or comment, brother?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you guys for the content you guys put out. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks for your support, man.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief. I'm at work, so I can only talk for a couple of minutes. But
okay, we won't take a boss.
TLD, top layer domain, top level domain, ICANN governs all the .coms, .nets, etc. With Web3, you're minting the NFT and onto a certain network, etc., and you can get your own whatever.
True ownership, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways through Ethereum. You can mint a couple of different ways that I've found so far. There are service providers. One in Switzerland. I'm not gonna shill them, but there's one in Switzerland. I've kind of experimented a little bit. I just want to know if anybody here has had experience with minting Web3 domains, top layer domains.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly have minted a couple. I have a .eth name. I have a Coinbase ID. And I've used other types of name services like that, unstoppable domains. I think that they're a great way to simplify the user experience of wallet addresses. Instead of me being 0x123456789, people can identify one of my wallets as conversations with Evan.eth. A lot easier for me,
Much
more
easier.
searchable. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't have anything else to add on. I mean, I've made a handful, probably not as many as you, domain names. All of them have been on Ethereum, and yeah, I mean, it's just nice. It's just nice. It just makes sense. I want to send money to Will's wallet, so I type in Will's wallet, and boom, there it is. You know, just easy, nice, simple, actually adoptable.
Alex, thoughts?
Yeah, just I mean, overall, exclusively good in any of those capacities. We talk a lot about like what's going to happen that improves the user experience. This is a huge piece of that. You know, one of many pieces.
I've got a .eth. I've got also the Coinbase one. I've done all of those you mentioned, guys. The I guess the challenge I'm facing right now is it's the service I'm using is giving me a few different networks, several networks to mint to. And I guess I don't really do Discord. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I may actually bite the bullet and jump in so I can, maybe ask you guys more questions offline about this. But I guess the challenge I'm having is what network to mint on, because I do want to put my website, my business, which I'm trying to incorporate accepting cryptocurrencies for. I'm trying to put all of that on the space of Web3 and bridge it to a Web2 domain, since most people haven't migrated yet. But that's the direction I'm heading in.
Honestly, then my recommendation would be a CBID. What do you got, Will? Is that what you're going to say?
Coinbase ID?
Yep.
Coinbase ID? I've got one of those for my wallet on Coinbase, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
The CBID would be my number 2 option. My number 1 option would be, just like with investing, particularly with your business, you want to go where the people are. You want to go where the money is. That's Solana right now. I mean, there's more money on ETH, but Solana's just been growing faster since 2023.
I don't disagree with that. I just think that there's more stablecoin velocity on the Ethereum mainnet, and I think it's a more secure network. And I also think, I think Solana will catch up, but I think they have the ultimate onboard experience for what you just described. I want people who are my customers now who don't know how to use crypto to pay me with crypto and start using crypto in their day-to-day lives. I would say that for my money, onboarding someone to the Coinbase Smart Wallet is probably the fastest, easiest experience. And Coinbase
for that,
ID would
for bridge of regular non-Web3 user to I'm in a Web3, they're probably going to go on Coinbase first for their exchange to get there, and then it's an easy. I did too. I mean, it's an easy hop, skip, and a jump from there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, you guys gave me good perspective, so I appreciate that. I've got several domains just sitting, waiting to be minted. Maybe I'll just kind of experiment with a few of these different, because I've got Avalanche available, I've got Polygon available and stuff like that. So I might experiment with a few of these, and I'll fill you in and let you know how things are going with it.
Please do, and please do jump in the Discord.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear about your experience with that.
I stopped doing Discord a couple years, but you guys might bring me back. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you, brother. And if you need a tutorial, if you need some help with the Discord, we've got all that kind of stuff in our profile. You guys think we have time for just 1 or 2 more quick questions? I'm going to bring Jeff in, and then we can do.
And if we could be on here just right at 9:30, so we can all take a look at the
market open.
Stock market. Yeah.
Jeff, I think I tried to bring you up and I brought you down. So I'm going to very quickly bring up our good friend, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Carol is a longtime supporter, longtime friend of the show. How are you this morning, Carol? It's great to talk with you.
It's great to talk to you, and a nice surprise to be here live, like I'm right in your little living rooms.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly it.
Driving me crazy today. I have my portfolio that I'm looking at. My portfolio consists of X number of coins, all in the deep, deep red, because I keep hearing two messages from all of you in two opposite directions. One is don't sell, hold, take profits when you can, which I haven't done. I've taken profits. I have some USDC. I try to follow your mandate, Alex, because
Excellent.
it makes sense to me also, not just because you're so cute, but because here I am looking at my portfolio disappearing, and at the same time wanting to buy the dip. So I'm in two different push-pull modes all the time. If I buy the dips, then I have to trade when it goes up. That's why my mind is muddled. If you can give me some clarity, if you know what I'm talking about even.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I say is for me, when I'm in deep red, I avoid the emotional pull to sell. But if I think overall we're going to see lower lows, I wait till there's a relief rally and then maybe de-risk a little bit and continue to reevaluate the market, right? So for people in a position like this who are in deep, deep red, like my Morpho position's down right now, my Arrow position's down right now. I haven't sold anything, but I still long-term think there's a bull run here. But if I didn't think that, when there was a relief rally, I'd de-risk a little bit. Maybe I wouldn't sell everything, but I'd de-risk and look to reevaluate the market. But I'd only do that once markets turn to green again, and then that's again going into kind of Alex's vibe where it's like, oh, things are like up a lot today. I'll take some profits because maybe you bought a little bit of a dip on this. That's kind of like you mentioned, you hear the two sides of the hold and sell and take profits and average in a little bit, right? It's never one or the other. It's always kind of a little bit of both. But you may have gotten confused off of my message, which is when things are really red, that's not when you sell. You sell when they turn green again. But if you're convinced that long term there are going to be some lower lows to come, or you just want to de-risk yourself, you're nervous, wait until there's that relief rally. And then typically when you sell that way, you're typically selling at a higher level than when you're at your like emotional pits and your emotions really wanted you to sell, right? That's typically how it works out. So hopefully that provides a little bit of clarity towards any comments I said where I was like, yeah, just hold through this.
No, it does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving me more clarity. I want to mention one last thing. Bizarre thing happened to me 4 days ago.
Okay.
8:00 in the morning. I had this, for me, enormous amount of money show up in my Coinbase wallet. Yeah. And it must have been that I had a particular asset at some point when I first started out, which is 2 years already. And something happened where I activated it. And I mean, for me, 3 times anything I ever had, even in my total investing. So I was freaked out, thinking, I didn't know what to think, but it's still there. And I took a couple shots at taking chunks of it at a time and putting it into USDC so that I couldn't put everything at once and didn't know where to put it. And the fees would have been, how it is. So, and it's on Ethereum too. So I'm down from those efforts to save it in chunks, but I still have a good amount of it sitting there. Now I could use that and convert into my Morpho and Arrow and etc. I could take a bigger chunk of it and buy Sol So I can't get clarity in my head, so I leave it there for now. Now it's already, even with these little ups and downs in the last 24 hours, it's gone from X amount down 2 or 3,000, and then it's come up again 2 or 3,000 not hour by hour, but in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
So it made me feel I should just leave it there and see till this rally comes.
I want to encourage you. Go ahead, Alex. I thought you were going to respond. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know what asset specifically we're talking about, but if you received it and didn't ask for it, the first thing you should do is nothing. I would have to see like what it is before I'm aware. You really want to treat anything that ends up in your wallet that you didn't ask for, no matter what the number on the screen says. You should treat it like someone cold sending you a download link via an email and then telling you like, this is going to make you money.
I do have upwards of 20 of those over the past 6-8 months, and I don't touch them. I do not touch them. But this is different.
Sure.
This is for money.
Carol, would you mind sending a screenshot of this in the lounge?
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to need a little more information just so we give you the best advice about whether or not, it's something that you need to hang on to or let go of. And I think we can give you some clarity there. Sorry, go ahead.
You can take me down and do what you have to do. Love you all.
We love you too. And I have to tell you, as you're on the way out the door, that the comments, love this lady. Carol is the best. Crypto cousins, yada yada. So you are much beloved by us and by everybody. Thank you for being you. And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
And quick follow up there too, just in case. I know I've seen this comment a little bit, so I just want to highlight it. A very common scam tactic is to airdrop a malicious token into a wallet and try to bait you into doing something with it. And like Daniel pointed out, it's extremely easy to make number on screen look enticing. Being sent a meme coin, having it be manipulated can make the price of it look insane, even though there's no liquidity to support the value that your wallet says is there. All of it is very usually just a bait tactic to get you to interact with something nefarious to drain your wallet is the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
I have one final question before the market opens and we give an update. This is Jeff. He's been trying to get on the show. So thank you so much for your persistence. What's going on, Jeff? What's your question or your comment? Can't wait to hear it. Jeff, if you can hear me, you can't navigate away from the screen while you're in the panel or it'll pause you.
Hello.
What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Listen,
Great.
I just want to represent the part of this situation with the cryptocurrency. I'm a person who is being around learning and stuff and try to growing my knowledge because I know where this is going. This is basically internet before a lot of people know what internet was, and I try to dollar cost average. That's what I've been doing. Eventually, I want to believe this is going to go back. They just try to check us.
Sure. You said you had something helpful to share. What was it?
Absolutely. It was just a thought on my head because you were talking about taxes. I know you said you want to study a little more about it and everything. But I think the thing of they cutting the tax is just out of our checks because technically they're going to keep us taxing us in everything we buy. It's not like they're getting rid of taxes, So I was like, they're not really cutting our taxes. They're gonna forever taxing us in everything we buy. Of each dollar that we get, we're being taxed to the point that we only keep like a 30% of that dollar. So that was the only thing that I want to say. They go away taxes. We're gonna still get taxed. It's just they're gonna make people believe that they don't taxing us no more. Emergency,
Yeah. It's a political move and it's a PR stunt. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say You don't put taxes on income taxes, but then you put taxes on U.S. businesses because tariffs, and then those taxes get bled off into the products that the end consumer buys, so that those products get more expensive. So even though, you're getting taxed directly and indirectly, and then directly on things like sales tax, as you mentioned.
Well, and our friend Jessica, as well as our friend Orlague, we got some really smart tax heads in the audience who have offered to help us break this down. So let's do that another day, because I know we want to get to this market open. Jeff, do you have a final thought, question, good joke, word of wisdom before we rotate you down, brother?
Buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
Excellent. Thank you very much, my friend. It's great to talk with you. William Watson IV is here to tell you, I am sure, exactly what's happening with the market. Is it as we expected? What do we got?
It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be at open.
So I'm safe. Great. Wonderful. Great.
From market close on Friday, markets have opened up, by markets, I mean the S&P 500, 1.5% below, which isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, honestly. There is a bullish gap above us to fill that price action. There's 1.5. That's the span. It's a let's see, how much on the S&P 500 is that? That is basically a drop of 100 points, something like that. So it's actually not that bad. We are starting to fill bearish gap though already. That was on the chart for the S&P 500. So
that one that's been there forever?
Yeah, the one's been there. I mean, no, not the one that's been there forever, but it's been there for the past 2.5, 3 weeks or so. So I would say definitely expect the S&P 500 to drop an additional 1.2% from here. And then we'll close a gap. In my personal opinion, if that happens, you could see an additional 5% drop in the S&P 500 from here to get down to the 200-day exponential moving average. That means the S&P 500 is looking at support at basically 5,647. If you're familiar with the stock market, that makes sense to you. If not, go look at the chart. It'll make sense. It's just a 5% drop from here further is what we would expect. So we'll see. We'll see. But market open right now actually wasn't as horrible as I was expecting it to be.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Sure.
I love it. Okay, it's about that time to take our dogs and ponies and get this show on the road. But before we do, let me invite you to give a final thought, a last question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom, and to take a quick screenshot because you want this link. You want this link that's on the screen. If you are not in the Discord community, if you're skeptical of Discord, hesitant about it, been burned before, too technical for you, I want you to reconsider, because this is the place the show lives 24/7. We have so many great people there from all over the world at all levels of experience, working to learn crypto, help each other out, and we say rise up together. That's what the show's named for. The Discord inherited that name, and it is the place the show lives 24/7. All that's missing is you. Later today, guys, check this out. My final thought is that I have figured out how to get all our classes up on beacons on our website to make it easier for people to get there. Much better experience than Eventbrite. And the first class I am loading in today, a little bit later, is the TA class taught by our very own William Watson to rave reviews this weekend. One participant said, another participant said,
and that's just bullshit.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to play that one, but it's a great class. It's going to help you learn about technical analysis, get up to speed on some of those indicators, and you can get it for just $15. Premium members, you can get it for $9.99 or $6. What are you waiting for? Go check it out. Support our guy. Educate yourselves. Rise up. You don't have to spend $1 to join the Discord, though. We'd love to see you there. I'll make an announcement about when the classes are available on our website. So good. So good. So what about you guys? Final thoughts, questions, suggestions, good jokes, words of wisdom?
I had a final thought, and then I thought too hard, and it went away.
Then give me a second and let me read a couple of these comments really quick. There's never, Nita says, an equal amount of dip compared to chips. I can't get the ratio just right.
I will absolutely die on this.
And I
It
agree.
takes practice. It takes a lot of practice.
Also, the question, can we download the videos? Jason, yes, that is what you're going to be able to watch them online, and I do think you can download them. Let me hold on. If you specifically want to download one, I will send you a link. I'll make it work for you. The market's already taking back 10% of its loss in the S&P. Bought 5K last night of ETH. Huge bear trap. And somebody, I've missed the comment, said that they were going to be making cookies and buying dips later with Carol and Jeff. So thank you all for being here and commenting. Alex, Will?
Yeah, I mean,
markets
are Bitcoin is rebounding, like off of the market open, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's about the same though it was. I mean, the entire time we were on this call here, it was fluctuating between down by what it is right now, 1.5% in the day, to down by 3%. So
I just mean since 9, it's up from 94.2 to 96.2.
95.8, yeah.
Alex, I actually wonder if I can direct your final thought toward this question if you haven't seen it.
You can't, because I have a final thought already.
Okay, well, consider answering this question on way to get to it. What's the most interesting or intricate or scary scam in crypto you've ever seen?
That was the comment that I replied to with, I will make this my final thought.
Wow.
Evan. So, yeah.
Way to pay attention.
I have 3. As far as like scariest, the ones that I think are the most unnerving are using AI to replicate somebody's voice or image in order to trap somebody. One of Christina's cousins was received a phone call that was their daughter's voice, asking for money. They were in trouble, all that sort of stuff. Those are terrifying. The video generation is going to get better and better and better. And I know for a fact we've already seen people like us, content creators, who have a tremendous amount of data online that people can train AIs off of with our voice and with our video. I imagine people are going to start receiving personalized messages that are AI generated with our heads and faces being sent to them, asking them for money in some capacity to trap them into something. More than likely, I think those will be used to set up pig butchering scams, which are probably the most brutal that I come across, because they are long-term. That's where somebody reaches out, initiates contact in some capacity, and then they lead you on for a long time. I've seen these things go for months and months before even getting anywhere. Make you feel good and secure, trap you into some sort of a system. You start to feel like you trust whoever this person is. They're not asking you for anything. They're just offering you some tools. They've even given you back a little bit of extra money or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the ask comes, you're not prepared for it, and you lose everything. Evan and I have heard from people who have lost multiple 6 figures to pig butchering scams over months and months, if not a year plus, of just being bled dry. And then one that is really making the rounds right now that I've seen a ton of is the old wallet bait scam, which is someone leaving a comment on a video that says, hey, thanks so much. I'm having trouble getting my USDT out of the wallet. Here's the seed phrase. Can you help me? That seed phrase will open a wallet. That wallet will have USDT in it. It will also have a scraper installed so that anything that gets deposited in that wallet can be pulled out immediately. And the game is just oh, you want the stablecoins? Send a little ETH to the wallet to pay for the gas to get it out of there. Gas gets scraped.
Like a vacuum, baby.
One of our friends, Hector, who's another content creator, Crypto Comics, he ran a counter scam a few years ago that was hilarious, where he would bait scammers into scamming him with that thing, and then he had a better program that was stealing their gas as they tried to steal the money that he was depositing into wallets. And he made quite a bit. But that's a really level 5 play. You got to be pretty skilled to do.
It reminds me of the Americans who were in France during the Olympics and were hospitalizing the pickpocketers by attaching fake wallets to battery packs, so that when they got pickpocketed, they got electrocuted.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was just beautiful, perfect. Everyone loves that.
So
oh my gosh.
Be aware that there are tons and tons and tons of people trying every single day and very hard to separate you from your money. And my final thought on that is that, yes, it is true that airdrops can be legit, but until you know for sure, just don't interact with tokens that end up in your wallet. Treat them like an email with an attachment from someone you don't know. And don't touch them until you know for sure. And the Discord is a fantastic place to find out, because we can all get online and help dig and search and whatever. I mean, sometimes good airdrops happen. more often than not, good airdrops do not just come to you. You have to claim them. And they are run by large-scale protocols. So if you didn't have to sign up for something and log in and connect a wallet and verify that you indeed are entitled to the airdrop and then claim it, there's a much, much higher likelihood that it's bullshit.
Yeah, but that's also a thing. Claim scams, bad links. Watch out for those too. Yep.
Everything has the potential to be a scam. So that's why we move slowly with purpose and we don't move emotionally, because when you're emotional, that's when you click on a bad link. And Evan can tell you, it happens to the best.
I can tell you, it happened to me. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Moving too fast, not checking stuff.
You did a long video about that, right? Like walking through the whole.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it got deleted. I think it was one of those. I think StreamYard rugged me, but I would be glad to make another one. And I do want you to know that if you're curious about how any of these scams work, one of the courses that'll be on Beacons after I migrate it today is a most common scams in crypto and how to avoid them. We touch on all these. It's a expanded format. And if you have questions about any of this stuff, don't hesitate to leave it in our comments, leave it in the Discord. These are our only profiles. We will never message you directly first, offering money, asking how your trading is going, how the markets are treating you. If you join our Discord and somebody who looks like me sends you a message, it's not me. I love you. We all do. But that's why we're never going to message you first, because we don't want you to have to wonder if it's us or not. We're just not going to message you. It's not an option for us. Only scammers do that. Will, what about you? What's your final thought for the day, man? I saw you chuckling about something.
Oh, I was chuckling because someone said, take sewing needles, put them in your wallet, attach a sleeping agent to the needle, and so when they pickpocket you, they fall asleep. I was just like, I'm just imagining French pickpocketers going like, ooh la la, and just like falling in the streets. Like,
he's like, oh no.
And then just like falling over in a French way, which I don't know exactly how it looks, but if I saw someone fall over Frenchily, I'd be like, that was a very French fall.
That was the scammer. Yeah.
That was, I don't know how that fall was French, but it certainly was. It made sense. But no, final thought. Guys, you're going to hear from everybody by the dip. Hear that from us every now and again, sell, do that, XYZ, do this, do that, do this, do that. It's also totally fine to do nothing. And that could be hodl, or that could be sell everything and just sit on the sidelines with stable coins and reevaluate the market and wait until you're in a confident position, right? It's doing nothing is always an option. You don't have to buy, don't have to sell. There's a lot of pressure from social media folks, even from us, to do certain things. You don't have to do any of it. Make sure that the choices that you make are your choices that are best, hopefully, for you. And that you're ultimately getting to that decision by taking some time, putting a little bit of thought forward, taking influence maybe from us, some other people, what other people are saying, and then pushing forward a strategy that comes from a combination of sources, but at the end of the day, has your stamp of approval on it. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Very well said. Very well said. Great thoughts, gentlemen. Great thoughts, everybody. Thank you so much for being the best part of what we do. We will catch you in the Discord, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, my friends, stay safe. Be well, everybody. Rise up.
See you. Damn.